Hello guys and welcome to another lesson. In this tutorial you will be learning a beautiful little composition that I wrote to help you with practicing the fingerstyle technique and to show you some beautiful chords as well. In this lesson I'll be breaking down the chords and the finger picking patterns that you just saw me playing. This little composition will hopefully teach you some new chord shapes and will serve as a beautiful musical exercise that will improve your right hand as well as the left hand technique. If you're a complete beginner, I suggest that you check my fingerstyle exercises video. If you're not a complete beginner, I suggest that you check that too. That tutorial will also show you some pretty easy to play, but also very beautiful chords and a bunch of finger picking exercises. Now please help me by subscribing if you haven't already, and let's dive into the actual lesson. The first thing you will need to do is to learn the chord shapes. In this little song we will be working with 6 chords, so let's break them down. In the first part of this example we will be using A minor add 9 chord, then A minor add 9 with G in the bass, F major 7, and then G. So instead of playing the same progression with the most common guitar chords, A minor, G, F, and G again, we'll be using some beautiful intervals and open strings to spice up our progression a little bit. So first, A minor add 9 chord. This is actually pretty similar to the original A minor triad, which is one of the most popular guitar chords, but we will be using our pinky instead of the ring finger, but on the 4th fret of the G string. So we play A open, 2nd fret D string, 4th fret G string, 1st fret B string, and high E string open. The next chord is exactly the same, which is the A minor add 9 with G in the bass. So we will be using our ring finger to play this G note on the low E string. And the rest of the chord is the same, except we're not playing the open A string. The next chord is the F major 7 chord. So we can play this with the open high E string. So we have 1st fret low E string, we don't play the A string, 2nd fret D string, 2nd fret G string, 1st fret B string, and 1st string open. Actually for this little song we won't be using our B string, so we can just play these notes. And the next chord in this first half of this little song is the G chord, but we'll just be playing on the 3rd fret of low E string, and we'll be using open D, open G, and open B strings. So till now we have A minor add 9, A minor add 9 with G in the bass, F major 7, and G. The second half of our progression consists of D minor add 9 chord, C and G chords. So for the D minor add 9 chord, we'll be using this shape. So we'll be playing 5th fret of the A string, 3rd fret D string, 5th fret G string, and 6th fret B string. And our high E string is open. You know, these intervals, which is a minor second by the way, you know, these intervals make these chords sound like they sound. For the C major chord, we will just be playing 4 notes here. So I'm making the bar here on the 3rd fret with my index finger, and then we just play 5th fret D string, 5th fret B string, and 3rd fret again on the high E string. And for the G chord we will be using the very similar shape. So ring finger 3rd fret on the low E string, D open, G open, then we have 3rd fret on the B string. We'll be also playing a little kind of melody here. I'll show you later in the video. So for the second half we have D minor add 9 chord, C, and G. So first just take your time to learn the chords and memorize the progression before moving to the next step. So now that you've learned the chords and practiced the progression, let's move to the next step. Understand the finger picking patterns that I used in this little song. The melody has a repetitive rhythmic structure, so the right hand patterns will be pretty similar during the whole example. So let's start with the first chord, A minor add 9 chord. In the right hand we will be starting by plucking the A string and the B string, and at the same time with our thumb and ring fingers. And then we'll be playing with our middle and index fingers on the G and D strings. Then we will be using our ring finger to pluck the high E string. Then we will be adding our middle finger on the B string. And this is the first pattern that we have for the first chord. When we move to the next chord, which is the same chord basically in the left hand, but with the ring finger on the 3rd fret, low E string, we'll be plucking with our thumb the low E string, and the index finger will be playing the G string. And then the middle finger plays on the B string. So the first chord, second, and for the next chord, the F major 7 chord, we'll be playing thumb on the low E string and middle finger on the G string. And then we'll be adding this little thing here with the index and middle finger again on the D and G strings. So from the beginning we have The next chord is G, and for the G chord is actually very simple. We'll be just plucking our low E string with the ring finger on the 3rd fret and open B string with our ring finger of the right hand. So going from F major 7 and then just repeat the whole thing. Now, instead of going to the same F major right hand pattern, so plucking with the middle finger on the G string, now the second time we play this whole thing, we will be just plucking with our ring finger, open high E string, and the thumb on the low E string. And index and middle fingers do the same stuff here. Now for the second half of this little composition, the right hand pattern is really similar. Let me show you. So we start with the D minor add 9 chord. And we start by plucking again with our thumb the A string and the B string with our ring finger. Then middle and index on the G and D strings. Then again ring on the open high E string and middle finger on the B string. So then we go to our C chord and we just pluck again thumb and ring finger at the same time, A string and B string. Index finger is plucking the 4th string and then ring finger again on the high E string. Then we go to our G chord. So we pluck with our thumb on the low E string and the ring finger on the B string. And the index finger and middle finger are playing on the D and G strings. And then we play this little fill here. So 1st fret B string and B open, and then 2nd fret G string and G open. We'll be using our index and middle fingers alternating here to play this little fill, this little melody. And then the whole thing repeats again. But then when we go to our C chord, instead of then plucking with our ring finger on the high E string, now we're gonna be playing the B string again, but instead of playing on the 5th fret, we will be playing on the 3rd fret. So we already have our bar here playing. And the G chord will be the most simple G chord shape. Again, instead of playing here on the 3rd fret of the B string, we'll be playing just the open B string. And then index and middle finger will be playing on the D and G strings again, but we will be adding this little thing here on the left hand. So open D, 2nd fret G, and then again open D and open G. So the second half sounds like this. Now I will let you guys practice your fingerstyle technique and this beautiful chord progression. If you enjoy the content, please consider subscribing. Thank you for watching and I'll see you soon.